This month's reading review video is going to be a bit shorter because I've already made a video about one of the books that I read last month. It was the review I did of Is There Life Outside the Box? An Actor Despairs by Peter Davison, which I read last month specifically because I wanted to post a review of it for his 75th birthday. Which means I don't have that book to talk about for this video. Instead, I just have the other two, both of which were reference books I read for a video for this month's painting video. Every month on this channel I do a video about a different classical painting, and this month's, which was published today, was the one for Water Lilies by Claude Monet. So both books that I read this last month that I haven't posted about yet are both books about Monet. So the first one is Masters of Art Monet by Simona Bartolena. And I had a really good experience reading this, actually. This has been, even outside of the book itself, just the actual experience I had reading it has been one of the best ever. Because now that it's getting warmer outside, I like to take my folding director's chair, which I've got just off camera over there. I like to take that out onto my patio in my back garden and just sit and read for a bit. And of course, because I had a deadline with this, because I had to get it all read in time for the video that I made, I read more than I usually would each day. So I had much longer reading sessions of this, but I really enjoyed this. I think I'm definitely going to read more Masters of Art books, because the format is that it tells a story of that artist's life and career with this is a sort of semi-coffee table book. Usually they tend to have a work of art dominant on one page and then text explaining the context of it on the other page, so that really the page count is essentially half of the actual page count, because half the pages are images of the paintings, but the paintings themselves I spent a long time looking at, because the thing is, when there's when I can feel the sun, or when I've got the bright blue sky above me, and when there are sort of trees at the edge of the garden, and then I can sort of hear the rustlings, and I can see the unique shapes of the clouds, and I hear the birds, and I can even see little creatures on the ground as well. The whole point of Impressionism is that it's not about painting what you can see as it is, it's painting it as you see it. It's not supposed to be a photograph. Mainstream painting up until Impressionism had mostly been about trying to accurately replicate what you can actually see. Whereas the Impressionists come along and say, actually, you don't need to do that. You can just paint something that creates an impression of the thing as you see it, even if it's not necessarily photorealistic or visually accurate. It's about how you see it. It's art. It's your own interpretation of it, which is why I've been getting into Impressionism so much recently. And I really understood that and connected to it more when I was reading it outside in the afternoon during the spring. I was able to relate to the idea of it a lot more. I want to talk about some of my favourite paintings in here. There are a handful. Oh, Terrace at San Andres, 1867. I mean, that is just brilliant. And I love Terrace at San Andres. The way that it's got the sea in the background, and it's not a particularly beautiful blue sea. It's a more accurate sort of slightly murkier, more industrial blue sea, but it has the, like, each individual wave is unique, and it creates the impression of the wind just gently breezing over the surface of it, and then also the two flags at the top, like wind socks, also create that sense of gentle spring breeze. Ooh, the Dewey Decimal sticker. I learned this from the library. The Dewey Decimal sticker has fallen off the end, so I don't really know what to do about that. Anyway, it's not for me to worry about. And so, as I'm start reading this, being able to feel that gentle spring breeze, I thought, I immediately, this image resonates so much more with me because of that, because it was much more like I was really there, and it reminded me of when I've been at the coast and I've been looking out over the ocean, and I've been able to see each individual wave is completely different from the other one. No wave is exactly the same, because otherwise it would have to be in exactly the same place. And I do think that, yes, sometimes they also have full pages of individual parts of a painting, like that. You see, that tells the story much better when you can see it up close. I think the way that Monet was able to capture that, no one else did it as well as he did. Let's have a look. There were so many different paintings that I could talk about, but I don't want to spend too much time covering this one book. Ooh. The Basin is also very good. I like that one a lot. It reminds me of happy memories I've had of days out during the warm weather. That one's very good. Oh. Ooh, Lunch in Monet's Garden. I like that one a lot. It really conjures up an image of his life and the kind of place he lived. This does make me feel a sort of sense of yearning for that sort of classy high life in late 19th century France. Oh, and they have an entire double page spread of a close-up from that one painting. I think I would be able to probably say something substantial about all of his paintings in here. So I don't want to go through the absolute highlights for me. Ooh, this was painted during the celebrations of the 30th of June, 1878. I mean, look at that. I mean, the thing about painting is it's what's so brilliant about it is the way that it's the actual medium is just colours on a canvas, but if you apply them in the right way, they create a convincing enough illusion of reality. Because this is such a perfect example of Impressionism, because that is clearly not a photorealistic depiction of that scene. But if you were actually there, that's probably what it would have really felt like. You know, this is more like Impressionist paintings. They're sort of like letters in visual form. You're writing to somebody about something that you saw, and so as you're remembering it, you're writing about it based on memory rather than an actual journalistic account. And I think that's exactly what Impressionism does, and I think that's summed up really well with this. That's exactly how it would have felt rather than actually looked. So that's, oh man. I could sit here and talk about every single one of these. I really could. And of course, eventually we do get to the Water Lilies series, which was useful for me doing my video about it this month. Although none of them cover the specific Water Lilies painting that I covered, because there were so many of them. And then the second one was The Great Artists, Claude Monet, by Anne Sumner, which is similar. This is much more of a coffee table book, but it's much more biographical as well. This is, I'd say this has a more of a split balance between being a gallery of his works and an actual biography of him. Because you can't really write a biography of an artist and not include images of the works that you're covering. But this is there's a lot more information in this one. It's less about having a gallery of works and then information for context. This is just as much an actual straight up reference book that also has images based on what's being discussed. So I do think these two books provide a different way of covering the subject, but they are, I do think they each of them are both worth reading. I prefer the other one myself personally because it's more about the paintings themselves, whereas this one, I found that it's sort of, my interest in it sometimes was that sometimes it waned in certain places because it was only as interesting as the actual part of his life they were talking about, and some are always going to be more or less interesting than others. I'm just trying to, let's see, are there any paintings in here that aren't in the other one that I also liked? And the issue is as well that because I wanted to read this and still have enough time to make my video about it, I tended to read it quicker than I would usually read a reference book. I remember when I was a student, I would have a lot of reference books to read, and I would also have deadlines, and I'd have to be writing about them. I tended to read them at a much quicker rate, and I felt that there was so much information that I was reading all at once, it was difficult to retain a lot of it. Whereas if I were just to read this again for pleasure, I would slow down a bit and appreciate it more as I went along. However, as a biography, there is also a part of me that there is a part of it that I like a lot. Ooh, yeah. So this is talking about how, and I didn't know this until I read this, that Monet, even though he's most well known for his impressionism, he actually professionally started as a caricaturist, and he's talking about that. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. He's talking about when he first got his start, and hang on a second. I also prepared this in advance. I found the quote. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the context of it right. Yeah, here we go. So this is on page 17. It says, Monet still continued with his caricatures, demonstrating a remarkable talent for human observation and a taste for mild satire. The notary Léon Manchon was depicted wickedly against a background of humorous posters. Notary, for marrying thereof. Payment facilitated. Immediate entry to pleasures guaranteed. He also captured a group of visiting actors in 1859. Monet later recalled of this practice. I started selling my portraits, sizing up my customer. I charged 10 or 20 francs a caricature, and it worked like a charm. Within a month, my clientele had doubled. Had I gone on like that, I'd be a millionaire today. Soon, I was looked up in the town. I was somebody. In the shop window. Soon I was looked up to in the town. I was somebody. In the shop window of the one and only frame maker who could eke out a livelihood in Le Havre, my caricatures were impudently displayed, 5 or 6 abreast, in beaded frames or behind glass like very fine works of art. And when I saw troops of bystanders gazing at them in admiration, pointing at them and crying, "Why, that's so-and-so," I was just bursting with pride. I'm not very good at reading aloud. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm really not very good at it. I ought to slow down a little bit. But it's something to work on, I suppose. So that tends to be the main difference. The smaller one is more about the images and has text for context. And then the larger one is more about the artist as a biography and also has images to provide context to what is being covered in the text. And I think they complement each other very well. Brief word about my next one of these. I've already planned the next 5 books I'm going to read, and I've started reading one of them already, but I'm reading them for a video I'm making later this year, and I want to save what I have to say about them for that. So I'm not going to be covering them at the end of each month. I don't know when I'll be doing another one of these, because I want to read these 5 to make sure I've got them read in time for this other video I'm doing. So it'll be basically whenever I've finished whatever the 6th book is. After those 5, whatever I read after that, that's going to be the next one I cover whenever I finish reading it, and I don't know when that's going to be. But it's not that I'm not reading anything, it's just that I want to be saving what I have to say about these 5 books for that other video. We'll just have to see. It gives me less work to do, though. So I'll be back whenever I've done that. And also I'm going to be beginning work on my next painting video soon, and I already know which painting it's going to be. It's something to leave you with. Bye bye.